My own watch. We just
Here we go.
basically discussed my own watch.
Here we go.
Uh, my own watch is the NCAA tournament, the men's
Michael
NCAA tournament.
Jordan is his own watch.
Yeah, no, I would never do that. I would never do that. It's the NCAA tournament, and for some of the reasons that we already named, it's really the NIL is a big part of it. Ken, you're right. And when you what you said is not being paid attention to, and the big reason is we don't have that Cinderella story this year that we've had in years past because of NIL and the transfer portal. Already this season, there's been 700 people that's entered into the transfer portal. 700, and we in the midst of the tournament. So that's crazy. And what you're seeing now is similar to the women's tournament, where those lower seeded teams, where we had the Valparaiso's and the St. Francis and all these teams that stood a chance, they don't stand a chance anymore at getting past the first round. You used to have 15 beat a 2. You'd have a 14 beat a 3. There's no chance of that anymore. So right now, when you look at the brackets, you got 1 versus 5, 2 and 3. So you got all your main seeds still available. And there's no Cinderella team. There's nothing to hang your hat on. There's no stories to it anymore. And without that, that takes away the casual fan from basketball. So that's why they're on watch. And they got to figure out something with this NIL. I mean, these dudes are transferring in the middle of the game. They're putting their names in the portal. A Michigan player the other day, and they're still in. They put them in there, and it's affecting basketball tremendously. The coach from Norfolk State, he put out a quote saying, basically we're a glorified JUCO. We're here just to set it up, and if their players perform, they're going on to the next school because they can't afford to pay them. You got one school, I think it's St. Francis, that's dropping this year from Division I to Division III because they can't compete. So they got to figure out a way to make it where the balance of power is kind of even for the haves and have-nots, so you can kind of keep some of your players there. And that's not Republican at all. I went to HBCU, so I want to keep my players at my school where they belong to be and not just taken away because they can't afford to keep them. That's what I'm with.
So
it's not going to happen, though.
I know
they
it's
deserve
not.
to go somewhere where they can make money.
Of course.
I want them. Oh, go ahead.
And that's why it's not going to happen. We're seeing it in college football. We're seeing it in college basketball now. The haves and the have-nots. The bigger programs are going to get the best players. They're going to get the best talent. And until they regulate it, and even if they regulate it, like, what are they going to do? Put salary caps? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the Wild Wild West. They're not going to be able to fix it no time soon. And these big colleges, we're starting to see, even in football, right, like a shift in power to the Big Ten. It's no longer the SEC the best ones. Why? Because the Big Tens have bigger boosters than the SEC schools do, because they've had longer money for a longer amount of time. You know what I'm saying? You look at the history of the Michigans, the Ohio States, teams like that. Look at even Notre Dame. Notre Dame was in the national championship this year. You know what I'm saying? So we're Shelton, I feel you. We're not going to get those Cinderella stories. We're not going to get those small schools that are able to compete because of one player or a scheme or a coach or something like that. We're just not. The money is going to go to the best players, and those teams are the ones that are going to be successful.
Shelton, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Before the NIL deal and all the money that's now being paid, if it was back to the way it was, would a player like Cooper Flagg have picked Norfolk State to go play basketball?
No, he wouldn't. And it's
why
not
the hell
really,
is he talking? Like he ever had a shot at getting them.
right. Well, it's not him though, Ken. What it's saying is those schools, the way they recruit and the way they train their players is they get 4-year players. They get players that's going to get there, get an education, and these guys are going to perform at a level, and they're mature. That's how these teams are winning games. They play together 4 years. You got the same group of people that came in together, and they grow in the game together. So they're more skilled at times than some of these younger guys. Like you look at a team like, Kentucky, for example. These guys are one and done. They're in and they're out. That's how it was when Calipari was there. You look at the guys like a Norfolk State, and he would be able to bring these guys along. And by their junior and senior year, they're seasoned enough to compete. So that's what's missing in the game. Now I want these guys to make their money. Trust me, I want everybody to get their money. But it's different because I went to a HBCU. I know the value of a HBCU, and if I can't afford to pay this guy to stay here, it's not a level playing field. So they're gonna have to figure out a way to change these brackets or control the transfer. You can transfer. It just should be like some type of way that they can manage it
You
instead of getting their best
bullshitting,
players poached.
They
bro.
have
You
figured it out.
bullshitting, bro. Go ahead, Lou.
I was just gonna say they have figured it out. That's why they're talking about 96 teams. Other than money, they want to give those smaller teams a chance to get into the tournament and have the opportunity to win because they know NIL is going to affect the top 64, 68 rosters. That's going to happen. Like there's 68 schools that can play players to come to that school, and then there's probably a good 17 or 18 teams that can pay the best players to come, and you probably always have them. So their thought process is, in addition to us making more money with doing it with 96 schools like they're talking about doing, now you have these one-off chances like we used to have when it was 64 teams where a Cinderella team could advance and win because, like you said, Sheldon, they've been together for 4 years. They have veteran leadership. So you're going to get that once they expand the tournament. I don't think it's a thing about NIL that has to do with that. It's just expanding the opportunity for those lower ranked teams, and they're going to do that once they put it to 96 teams.
This
Go
is a
ahead.
free capitalistic market, bro. The market dictates what the market dictates. You know what I'm saying? These kids ain't been getting paid for generations, and we trying to limit them based off of competition. Don't give a fuck. We know who's gonna be in the Final Four, Elite Eight. It ain't gonna be Norfolk. It ain't gonna be most of these motherfuckers. We don't really want to see. At the end of the day, people really don't want to see Cinderella stories win. They just want to see them mess up a bracket so they can win on they betting shit.
I want to see them
See,
win the first two rounds.
disagree
First
though.
two
I
rounds.
disagree
No,
though.
they
No
don't.
one wants. No one
You
wants
don't want Cinderella teams in the Final Four and the Sweet 16, bro.
I
Nobody wants to
disagree.
see that.
They always
Nobody
did.
wants to
I
see
mean,
that, Sheldon.
I could
It
think
ain't
about
that
like
ain't
I said,
TV that you want to see, bro. This is a TV show at the end of the day. I don't want to see George Mason in the Final Four
they do
because they're gonna get
do.
waxed.
You got to think about, and I agree with you, but you got to think about the casual fan. Basketball fans are going to watch it, just like with the women's game. I said that too. Basketball fans are going to watch anyway, but you got a casual fan that's riding on a story, and these people pick it up, and they will come along and they will watch this thing, and they'll get on that train. They'll wear the T-shirt. They don't even believe in sports, but they believe in Cinderellas, and they'll follow that team. What's the lady's name? Her name was Sister June or something like that.
Yeah, with
With
St.
St.
Mary's.
Francis and St. Mary's a couple years ago. Everybody was rooting for St. Mary's, and I'm not the basketball fans, but I'm talking about people who don't even care about basketball was watching it and watching her. These people were watching McNeasy, and the trainer got an NIL deal because he's so popular. People like the Cinderellas. They like the fact that McNeasy knocked off whoever they knocked off, but you didn't get enough of that, which means you're gonna lose your casual fans, your casual observers. Now, basketball peers like us, we want to see basketball play. We get to see that. Now, the problem is, at the end of this, half these dudes gonna transfer anyway. They're gonna move on and get some more money somewhere else. It's just the reality of the situation is whoever got the most money, and it's not your best fit, not your best situation. It is just whoever got the most money. That's where I want to go. So it kind of affects the game in that aspect. Now I'm with you though. I want the boys to get their money because I've always said that they generate the most money. They should get the most money.
Not when you talk about limited transfers and all that shit.
Well, and I think and we'll move to the next topic is what Nick said is early on when we had the discussion about it is that it's gambling, bro. That those are the people that are watching now. They don't care about anything else. They got their little brackets up. They in the prediction markets. They doing all this. They're the ones watching the game, not for interest, but for their parlays and shit like that. So, I think that's what we're seeing. And I think that's another reason why they might be moving to 96. Outside of that, nobody gives a